right, happy Tuesday, everyone. And you know what Tuesday means? That's right, it is time for another episode of the Triple H, the Huskers Happy Hour with your view of Hurst Helmsley and his thong. Hope you're enjoying it as much as I'm not. Got to get the particulars out of the way first. Who was first? Fred was first. Paul Dalen is joining us. Hello, Paul, from Corn Nation. Braska Rascal got in second. And Mozilla is back. And let's see. So Fred just came in and just stormed right through it today. Nice work, Fred. Anyway, let's get going. As I was kind of suggesting in the write up, the pre-show write up. The off season doesn't wait for the off season anymore in college football's new world, does it? It's the portal's going hot and heavy. We're hiring coaches. Coaches are leaving. Well, kind of the other way around, but you get my drift. And so, since last week, we've had a few more guys. I don't know if you want to call them declaring for the portal so much as some of them just not going to be room on the 105-man roster anymore. And there's probably more names you'll be surprised to see than you think when you consider just how deep we recruit, how strong the walk-on program is. So there's going to be some people that are leaving that were pretty highly touted recruits who probably just aren't high enough on the depth chart that either they're not happy or the coaches are, honestly letting them know you might be starting around, fourth or fifth next year. And in this day and age, they want to, get a little higher than that a little sooner. It's going to be tougher now with the tighter rosters, but we'll go through the guys that have left. Some of them have landed in some nice places, and I'll tell you why that makes me feel good about the Huskers when that happens. But let's dive right in first. I just wanted to point out, somebody was worried that Daniel Kalen, I don't want to call it getting the shaft, when we brought Raiola in last year, like we're always going to bring in the best players we can. Sounds like Matt Rule publicly and privately lets the guys know, I will be telling you how great you can be, but we're also, as soon as you're here, we're looking to bring in somebody even better if we can, and it's up to you to keep up, et cetera, et cetera. So Dan Kalen commits to Nebraska, lifelong dream to be the Huskers quarterback. Dylan Raiola comes in, to be honest, has his own Nebraska connection. His dad's name is on the place as an All-American. But, some people felt for Danny. He thought about visiting Michigan State and flipping his commitment there. The Rule talked him into, hey, come in, compete, give you your best shot. And now he committed to Virginia. And then right after that, Virginia gets a commitment from Chandler Morris of North Texas State, who was I think the number 4 rated quarterback rating, I should say, not rated by a service or anything, in the country, behind like Cam Ward, Shedeur Sanders, and the guy from Clemson, Cade Klubeck or something like that. His last name eludes me at the moment. But so now that guy's coming in, and a couple of people are going, did it just happen to him again? When I looked over I haven't seen anything he said, but looking over the situation, I'm pretty sure he's 100% aware of what's going on. And hold on. He's aware of what's going on and was down with it because, he'll be a redshirt freshman next year, so he'll still have 4 years left. Chandler Morris is a one-and-done player, so he's in there for 1 year. The current starter for Virginia has declared for the portal, so he's gone. And the backup Virginia, the only guy that saw any playing time besides their current starter, is a senior, so he's gone. So it sounds like he's walking into a deal where he's going to be a backup for a year, and then if he can perform to the best of his abilities, then it sounds like he's probably in a position to potentially start 3 years for Virginia. So can't blame the guy for that. He could have stayed here, but he was looking at a minimum of 2 and possibly 3 years. And we're all making the assumption that Dylan Raiola is turning pro after his junior year. I mean, he's got the arm to. Is he going to? We don't know. But Kalen was looking at 2 to 3 years behind Dylan Raiola before he'd probably have a chance to start. And even then, he's got to hold off TJ Lateef and Dayton Raiola. TJ Latif's coming in next year. Dayton Raiola, I believe, is our 26 commit. So much, if he wants to play, the road in Virginia is much easier and much faster. So no, Danny Kalen didn't get hosed over this time. Okay, real quick, I'll tell you what, let's talk about it. We hired a defensive backs coach this week, Addison Williams from Central Florida, baby, where he was the defensive coordinator and defensive backs coach in 23 and 24 under Gus Malzahn at UCF. And then before that, he was the safeties coach at Coastal Carolina. And when I go to his Coastal Carolina biography, which is still up, there were he had a lot of guys at the positions he coached getting like all conference honors and that sort of thing. So it looked like a pretty successful backfield with him in charge of it. So he'll go to coaching our defensive backfield. He played cornerback at South Carolina from 2007 to 2009, and then his career got cut short by an injury. And he began coaching immediately after his senior year, I believe in 2011, 10 or 11. He started serving as a grad assistant immediately, and he's been coaching ever since. So this is a guy with about 14 years experience under his belt. And the more I read about him, I didn't have time to get into it too deeply. Sounds like a pretty good choice, and I'm guessing that Matt Rule, having not worked with him personally, got a pretty big thumbs up from Malzahn that he'd be a good hire. One interesting thing, I believe it was somebody like Sam McEwen in one of his articles that said it, was if you look at this staff Nebraska's got now, this is a much older, wiser staff than, without pointing fingers, he said, whereas the last two coaches chose to go in a different direction and had more inexperienced staffs, at least compared to what we have now, and maybe we're a little, out of their depth at times. Who knows? Time will tell. But anyway, that's who we've got, and I want to get into the portal stuff next. But first, let's see what's going on here in the comments. Fred, last week forgot to mention Football Movie Talk wanted to do the best of times starring Robin Williams and Kurt Russell. That was an entertaining one. I didn't mind that one. It doesn't hit my top 50, and I actually do have a top 50 that I write about, but I didn't do it last summer because I was doing the movie pod. I'm going to try and get them both going this summer. And it's not a bad thing if you're not in the top 50. There's a lot of almost close stuff that people want to strangle me over. And I didn't realize how tough it would be putting together a top 50 sports movie list until I actually sat down to do it. And it turned out I'd probably had about 20 to 25 movies that I'd been telling everybody were in my top 5 or top 10, for years and years. So there's more than you think. So just because it's not top 50 doesn't mean it's bad or anything like that. So anyway, let's see who we got. Got a bunch of howdy highs to each other. If we're sounding tinny, yep, give me a minute and I will fix the tinniness. Hold on. I don't know what the deal with that is. Be right back. Okay, I'm back. Let me get my correct camera on. Come on now. Do. Okay, there we go. And all right, back in business. Let me know at the bottom. Okay, so James Boardman goes, damn, I was digging the AM radio vibe, so I assume we've got normal sound going again. Sorry about that, folks. All right, back to the comments. Now that the tinniness is once again solved, and thank you for telling me. Please do tell me when that's an issue. I even restarted a couple of times each week just in case it's doing the tinny thing, and apparently it just pops out, and I've got no idea how I'm sounding, so you need to tell me. let's see. No, what were the list of demands a Texas Tech player had? That was I was that I kind of enjoy the stuff because while that stuff's rare, there's still those guys out there. I think you got Bear Williams heading for his third team. He had committed to Georgia, then transferred to Southern Cal, and now I think he's going to Penn State. I don't know, and I think he's getting a different tattoo. So I think he's about to get his third team tattoo on, which, whatever you enjoy explaining when you're in your 40s, I guess. We're trying to snag a Purdue QB who is rated higher than Kalen. Yeah, I saw where he is. Yeah, because we need a backup. Right now, I think it would be next year at this moment. It would be Dylan Raiola and Jalen Gramstead, and then a couple other guys who may not be here next year, but probably can't let him go. Probably can't let him go until we get at least one more quarterback. But so I think Latif should be coming in next year. But we want to back up with experience or another talented backup. We want 3 scholarship quarterbacks because they're going to honor Heinrich Harburg's request to try, I think, tight end, H-back, whatever version of that can get him out there using his athletic skills. And he wants to take a shot at the NFL. And everybody knows it's not going to happen at quarterback. Let's see. Well, I think the only way we make it worthwhile for Kalen to stay, from what I explained a little earlier, is that we don't have such a long waiting line and as much competition, and he's already committed to Virginia, so I think, well, I guess he's not committed until he signs up for classes, but yeah, I think he's gone, and it's understandable. James Borden says, I thought I heard somewhere that between all classes of football that there are 308 QBs in the portal. That would be a lot. I mean, unless they're counting portal guys below Division I, because that would be almost 3 times the number of teams in Division I. I don't think each team has 3 QBs hitting the portal, so that's the only reason that sounds high, unless we're getting all classes in there and they have portals at the lower levels. Yeah, what you're gonna? I mean, like I said, we still haven't seen the full inflow into the portal. That might not come till after spring, I guess. I'm wondering how many of these guys will hang around and see where they stand after spring. But then, yeah, because I think this is still a year where you can enter the portal after spring, and I believe I saw that in starting with the 26th season, there'll just be one portal day each year, one portal entry, period. And I'm going to talk about that here in a minute, or ask you guys, because that's going to be a stickler, and it's already a problem. Let's see what else we got here. Yeah, Borden, I think there's 7,000 players in it overall. Yeah, I'm just saying though, you'd have to have, for 308, you'd have to have, if it was all Division I, almost 3 per program leaving, and most of them only have 3 scholarship, maybe 4 if they're going a little deeper. Okay, here we go. Braska Rascal says, Fred, there's over 1,700 in the portal as of now. That sounds a little more reasonable. Get your badoons out for Fred. Yes, Virginia, there is a Danny Kalen. It's good. Let's see. Dang, if 300 to 1,700 aren't going to be quarterbacks. It's too much. So anyway, I've been popping at that. I won't bring that up. And I saw Paul remind us that yes, we are in the Final Four for volleyball. I loved beating Wisconsin 9-0 this year. three sweeps of them after the 5-setter last year, and when we broke a 10-year losing streak to them or something like that, and now we've got a year and a game winning streak, and I'm very, very happy. Their coach just looks like he can't stand losing to us. But after, the shaved owl looking guy, Kelly something. I love beating them because he just looks like at times that he's absolutely seething, that he's just furious. And then after the game, he and John Cook just had nothing but love to shower on each other. And he said, he goes, we lost because he was talking about how our defense, and he goes, how it's just maybe the best defense he's seen in his years of coaching college volleyball. And that seems to be a refrain is the Nebraska defense this year. And not a coincidence at all, Lexi Rodriguez is up for the AVCA Player of the Year. She's in that Final Four as well. You also have Sarah Franklin from Wisconsin, who they love. I would say look at our 9-0 win over Wisconsin if it comes down to those two. Screw you, Wisconsin. Let's see. And my son is here. My wonderful son, Drew, Mustang 6197. It's okay. I don't need the camera. I have to see your face in a couple of weeks anyway. Yes, you do. But I'm not going to be there for part of it because finally got my confirmation today that my press credentials for the Pinstripe Bowl have been approved, and I will be taking off for New York City, and we'll be at that game. And one interesting thing in there, I was, and maybe I deserve this because I was thinking, I don't know how much I want to sit outside and watch that game. But press box, I'll do press box. We were told in the email I got today to make sure to dress appropriately, as the Yankees press box is an open air press box. And I'm thinking that, and I'm going, wow. And I bet they don't really have much of a reason to have heat lamps or anything up there when there's not much going on in winter sports except for this damn game. So, yeehaw. Sacco. Andy's voice now sounds more velvety than James Earl Jones. Let's see. It was good, but back to Tenny. Oh, geez. Okay. First adjustment was good, and then it flipped back. I will try this one. Oh, okay. Let me go back, and hopefully the camera comes with us this time. Maybe that had something to do with it. I will give this one more shot. Otherwise, we're going to have AM radio night, and I'll figure it out later. Not that I'm bitter. Okay. Be back. All right, I'm back. And hopefully it's a little better this time. Fred Sacco, you audio purist, too many concerts, including Metallica and Nine Inch Nails, the ringing in my ears. Andy still sounds fine to me. So that's just the secret. Exactly. Let's see. Yeah, Paul said need to go fund me to buy Andy a mic. I'm not sure I'd plug it in. It's like the only it's the only place to add one is that's already where the camera is, and I like it much better than the iPad camera. All right, more making fun of my voice when the sound's tinny. Some Paul's talking about taking too near artillery fire, and I look. Okay, the Wisconsin coach looks like Uncle Fester, Fred Karen Von Raschke. Exactly. Aaron's calling me Andy Tin Man Ketterson. Oh, good. Tell you what, let's talk about this for a moment. No, tell you, I'm going to bring that up. Let's skip over right now and go to some portal talk. Let me get my portal stuff up here. The portal. The portal just did nothing but take away, when Tony White left. The portal's now giving back. We got two more today. But first, a few days ago, we got Williams and Nwaneri from Missouri. And this guy, I don't know where he was in the portal rankings, but where he was a year ago in the recruiting rankings when we took a big swing and missed trying to get him the first time around, he was the consensus number 7 rated player overall nationally, the number 1 edge rusher, and the number 1 player out of the state of Missouri, which is a little stronger than you think because it does have St. Louis and Kansas City. So they've got their share of talent, and thank goodness that we got Coach Mosey from I think from Lee's Summit where Nwaneri played, which also got us his son to flip from Oregon to flip from a commitment to Oregon. And this guy is our new kind of recruiting all-star.
And brother, you need a couple of those. But so we got N1 you know, that's our biggest home run to date. Long snapping was an issue this year, so they went and got a guy named Kevin Gallick from the University of New Hampshire. He's got three, I believe I wrote these down too. He's got 2 years left. He started 3 years. He's got 2 left. So he will be our long snapper going forward. And yeah, there was somewhere you weren't sure if it was Bashini's fault, the holder, or he was digging the ball out of the dirt, but we did have snap issues this year. And maybe we're determining we had a few weak pieces of the puzzle and it wasn't all Ed Foley's fault. I don't know. Something's got to change because we just can't block a punt return or a kickoff return to save our life. And that to me kind of falls on Ed Foley, but I don't want to do a whole set on the special teams because I spent too much time yelling about it. But we got 2 more players today. We got a defensive lineman, Jalen George from East Tennessee State University. He's 6'2", 260, and was a first teamer all conference down there, and had a few people after him. And then we got a one and done punter from Washington. I think he was the punter the last 3 years for the Huskies. And I'm telling you what, I'm not, my heart's not beating with joy for this yet. You know, first of all, it's like, so apparently Camden, it doesn't sound like then that Camden Cook is ready to go. Sam Cook's son, a freshman this year. But he averaged 44 yards a kick this last season. McAllister did. That's fine. And I think just a little over 40 the 2 years before that. So nothing awful there. But here's the thing. His net punt is like 35 yards. So they're averaging almost 10 yards a return on him. And he only, in the last 3 years, he only had 2 of them downed inside, or 3 of them downed inside the 20, and none last year. So I'm picturing a lot of punts rolling into the end zone. I'm a little shaky on our new punter there. Now here's who we had. I'll throw their names in, and I might be going over it a little, but let's see. I believe we already had Kai Wallin was going, but okay. Defensive back Mason Jones, defensive tackle Brody Tagaloa, cornerback Dwight Boodle, linebacker Greg Wager, linebacker Noah Bustard, wide receiver Davion Hall, tight end AJ Rollins, tackle Jacob Hood, tight end Nate Borkircher, wide receiver to complete the Bellevue West guys leaving, Isaiah McMorris along with Hall, and then the big one, running back Dante Dowdell. Now, of the guys I just named off, I think only 3 of them could be found on the 3D. So even though like you've got big names, McMorris and Hall, they might be going because the wide receiver room got bigger and they didn't make any kind of a move, and we're still going after wide receivers. So that might have been either they saw the writing on the wall, or was told what the writing on the wall was. Saying like, then you have guys like Rollins and Hood that could never crack the 3 deep. A few of those guys there, obviously walk-ons, and then, but Dowdell's the big one. But even then, I kind of see it because Emmett Johnson got to town, or I'm sorry, Dana Holgerson got to town. And apparently one of the first things he said after watching a couple practices was with Emmett Johnson, why in the hell isn't this guy starting? He's our best running back. And, that gets out. It's got to bug you a little if you're Dowdell, but he was the clear number 1 going forward. Dowdell was still getting carries and Dowdell was getting touchdowns, but the majority of the work now is going to Emmett. And I think then he sees that we're probably taking a long look at Mikey Nelson, and then who's the kid coming in? Can't remember his name, but he might get a long look at some playing time. And I just think Dowdell wants to go someplace where if he's not the man, he's at least in like a 50-50. And you're not going to find too many places that have the man anymore. There's an interview with Kirby Smart down at Georgia after last season, and he talked about, you're probably not, because he said, as long as he's there, you're probably not going to see like a 1,400-yard rusher at Georgia. And they were even, I think, doing that before him a little with Rick, is they're looking for 3 guys that can kind of share the load. And Kirby's pitch to these guys out of high school is, yeah, I'm going to be straight up. You're not going to carry the ball, 30, 25, 30 times a game for 2, 3, 4 years at Georgia. What you're going to do is you're going to get a lot of notice. You're not going to get your body worn out, and you're going to get drafted, and you're going to play in the NFL. And there's quite a few Georgia backs playing in the NFL right now, and quite a few, that just recently retired before them, like Todd Gurley, when that kind of started going. And he makes a good point there. So, Dowdell might have to realize you're getting towards the world where they just don't want to give it to one guy all the time. But I don't know. I don't know what's going on in his mind. Pure speculation, but it's just what seems to make sense. And, it is what it is. Let's see. Anything else on those guys? Yes. So I want to talk a bit about what went on in Marshall that leads into the question I have. Now, the Marshall situation isn't what a lot of people thought. This wasn't the coach abandoned the place and look at all these players jumping out. Well, the coach wanted to stay, and he just had a 10-3 season and won the Sun Belt Conference. They're supposed to play Army in the Independence Bowl, but he had no time left on his contract. Essentially, he was going to be gone after this season ended, and here he is, 10-3. So and they just were not budging on anything, and basically just kind of forced him out. And so after that, the player, he was wasn't the best plan. I guess we'll see going forward how it goes. But if they were unaware that this was a really popular guy with his players, as of now, 36 players at Marshall have entered the portal, and I think they said like 18 or 19 are on their 2 deep. So these are guys who are playing all the time and did not appreciate their coach being let go. And so they're like, what was it? Eric Cartman said, "Screw you guys, I'm gone." And they were gone. So what happened was Marshall decided we don't have enough of a team to send to the bowl game. I'm guessing they still had well over 100 players. And yeah, you're taking some of your 2 deep. It might not be, you might be getting whooped on, but I feel like you'd still go to the bowl game. I remember when Minnesota came up here with only 43 on the roster, I think the COVID year, and it'd be like a fairly fully stocked Nebraska roster. So I don't know. We will see. But it leads to the question, what do we do about the portal entry between, and having it between the final game and the bowl game? So you have guys leaving their teams. Coaches were already leaving their teams before this. I remember Bo trying to do both jobs at LSU. We talked about that, but now it's, now that the players can do it, but that's when the portal opens for the period, because if they are going to leave, they have to get enrolled by, January, whatever, at their new school. So you kind of can't do it in January, or else they're not going to be able to do it until after the spring, do it during the summer or whatever. Or they have a portal entry after spring ball. So I'm not sure what the solution to that is. And if you read my article, and not only that, but listened to me last week, you knew that I have some pretty strong feelings about their right to enter the portal pretty much whenever they feel like it. But this is kind of a problem for the game. I just don't know off the top of my head how you solve it. I mean, you can't move the season up anymore. God knows it's just getting longer, and you do have to give them, I feel like, a few weeks. I don't know. Go down in the comments and give me your reasonable suggestions. And by that, I mean the ones that could withstand a court challenge. Not the ones that are like, well, we just tell them you're doing this, and by God, and you're going to do it, and we don't care. And it's got to be something that works after the NCAA's lost all these court cases. And but seriously, give me ideas if you have funny ones too. Let's hear those, because this is one where I see we might just be stuck with it. I'm not sure where you move that unless there's some sort of late enrollment that can be allowed nationally. I don't know. Throw that in there. But that's my question. That's I think outside of figuring out how revenue sharing / salaries, whatever, is going to work, and they're supposedly going to get that done by July. Good luck. I'd love it if they had that done by July. I'd love to go back to Big Ten media days and be able to buzz the coaches on, with us knowing how it's going to work, be able to buzz the coaches a little on how they plan to handle that. So let's jump back into the comments here. I think that covers our portals ins and outs for the week. So we're good to go there. All right, let's see what people are saying here. That was it was the Marshall that got me started on that. This is a good one. I seen a meme that said the ocean covers 71% of the earth. Lexi Rodriguez covers the rest. She just looks like she's one of those that I look at and I'd say, no offense to Miley or anything, but like if I didn't have a daughter and Miley wasn't available, then Lexi Rodriguez is kind of, who I'd want for a daughter. She just seems like such a joy to be around. One of my favorite stories I heard coming out of the Memorial Stadium game was before it started and everybody's warming up, and John Cook, he had said, I was just standing off to the side, and he started getting a little choked up, said he was kind of overcome by the emotion because it only then started hitting him just what the hell was actually happening here. And Lexi apparently saw him and went over there and just said something like, "Go ahead and cry, Coach. You should enjoy this." And that was just a pretty cool story. Seems like a great person. What happens if it feels like something's wrong if this team doesn't win a national title. No offense to Pitt. I hear people saying, I don't know how we can beat Pitt. I don't know how they can beat us. But I certainly hope we win. This is a team that if they win, not like USC being pronounced the greatest team of all time over 95 Nebraska before Texas beat them. But yeah, if they win, this might have to be considered as one of his best teams. And it'll still be a pretty young team too. They'll lose Merritt and Lexi at the very least, I know. But it's not like they're hurting behind them. You look at some of these players at Penn State who are starting for Penn State and who checked out of here because I don't think they saw a path to quickly starting, and they found one there. And these are talented players. I think it just gives you the kind of talent that Cook attracts now. And I don't think he really has to recruit to do it. I think somebody suggested, how can Scott Frost learn to recruit like, this years ago, learn to recruit like John Cook? And it was Chattel or somebody like that answered, well, here's the thing. Scott Frost has to recruit. John Cook can almost select who he wants. Not quite, but yeah, he doesn't have to give anybody a hard sell. He's developed a program that the best want to come be a part of. Anyway. Okay, James Boardman. So does that mean Lexi Rodriguez covers at least 60% of Bielema? Oh, Bert. Let's see. Yeah, Fred, that was that DL, that Jalen George. We got him today. We got him like around midday, and then literally I heard about the punter about, I think, 30 minutes before we went on here. So keep it rolling. He was one spot ahead of Dylan, so we'll see. We'll have 2 top 10 players from last year's class. Not sure who we're talking about there. Another quarterback? Oh, well, figured out. Yeah, Aaron Kane. Special Ed Foley will develop that punter. Sorry, I was laughing as I typed that. Yeah, well, it was funny because when Ed comes in last year, Bashini took a dive and was like ranked 12th out of the 14 Big Ten punters. But Brian got it back this year. He ended up, I think, honorable mention, which means he was probably about 4th or 5th because he still had a little bit of the shanks, but not as bad as last year. He had the 3 bad ones against Iowa. When I watch people kick, though, it's like I kicked a football, and that can sting the foot a little. But in the cold, I don't know if they put a little more padding in there. That's one of the things. besides getting blasted by a guy twice my size, the kicking a football and it's like 19 degrees out, like punting one as hard as I can would just seem like that would sting a little. Let's put it that way. Yeah, Fred says Dowdell unfortunately makes sense. Knew he wasn't going to start next year, seeing more opportunities, and yeah, probably a few more dollars if you can find a place where you can start or be one of the top two. Then you're in a timeshare. Dang hiccups. In a timeshare there, then it probably gets the NIL money that goes with that position. Yeah, you know what? Honestly, James Boardman Marshall does sound like a mess, and then cutting loose a coach after a 10-3 season. Remind you of any other messed up athletic departments you can think of, like say I don't know, the Invisible Man and Bo Pelini, where Bo got fired after a 9-win season, and then oh god, what was that guy's name? Sean Eichhorst. And then and the whole reason, this is when I lost my mind at work and said fuck out loud at work, and fortunately no one that it mattered heard me, but that was the one where I blew up, because his whole thing was firing Bo. Well, he just can't get over that 9-10 win hump. Okay, I get it. We want to play for national titles. And then he goes out and hires a guy who'd only reached that hump, like the 9 wins, like once or twice in his career. And for the past 5 years had losing records. And I was just like, so you fired the 9-10 win guy in a tougher conference for a guy who's just losing year after year in a weaker conference. And it's like, no, he made you uncomfortable, and you are a beta, probably gamma male who just didn't like having to deal with him. And brother, not a whole thing about whether or not you keep Pelini. You know what I'm saying? If you're getting rid of him, I want to have heard of the guy, or not just heard of the guy. I want to go, hell yes, because you already had that guy lined up before you did that, which you didn't. Or you did, even worse, maybe you did have Mike Riley lined up because you knew he might have been, even a weaker beta male than Eichhorst. And then he proved it because Eichhorst made him fire his defensive coordinator for Diaco. And I'm like, man, if Sean Eichhorst forced you to do something, you just have no spine at all. But yeah, that's what I thought of with Marshall. Was like, this sounds like an Eichhorst Bo situation. Let's see here. So yeah, good comment there. There's something messed up going on in Marshall. I can't agree with that more. Let's see, David Matney. I think Steve Peterson is flying rubber dog shit off a freighter in China, I believe, and he'll fuck that up. Oh, a Top Gun fan. I love it. I'll have you fly a cargo plane full of rubber dog shit out of Hong Kong. Oh, geez. Got those two giving each other some shit. Yeah, let's see. Let Foley get his claws onto, well, let's say into a new punter, and we'll have a veritable King Longshanks at punter. And in honor of the pirate Edward Longshanks, let's have a little rum. I don't do that so often. The voice goes tinny on its own. Let's see. Yeah, funny. 10 years later, David Matney, how you doing? Funny, 10 years later, we are excited about a 6-win season when in the past we fired 2 coaches with 9 wins. Right? Yeah. And yeah, let's just be happy with our 6 wins. That we deserve this, damn it. And I thought Matt Rule put it perfectly. He goes, don't undersell this 6-win season, because it's something that wasn't done for 8 years. Wisconsin wasn't beaten for 10 years. Yeah, we want to do better than that. We don't want to be going to the Pinstripe Bowl every year, or at the time we didn't know which bowl, so you couldn't insult the bowl like I just did, I guess. But I'll probably be insulting them a little more while I'm freezing my nuts off in that open press box. But we just need to enjoy this and realize, it's nice to do it. Got it over with. Now next year, let's up it. Now it's time to get up in 10-win territory, and I think we've got the people to do it. When we're going 6-6 and losing 5 of the 6 by 1 score again, I mean, we just win half of those. We're at 9 wins, right? And I think Holgerson's going to be a big reason for that. He's never not scored, and I think he came into Oklahoma State when the year before they had the number 60 something offense in the country, and then they were number one the next year. Yeah, let's enjoy our six. Let's enjoy our bowl game. It's just too many years of watching everybody else have the bowl game fun. I'll never forget the morning the Riley hire broke. Got to work and saw about 50 texts, most just what the fuck, Riley. Most of mine were who the fuck is Mike Riley, and I was like, no, I know that because they made him sound like the biggest deal because in like 2 years he took Oregon State, or 2 or 3 years, from like 1 win to 9 wins, but he never got over 9 wins. And everybody thought he did because Dennis Erickson came in, former Miami coach, and was there 4 years and took him to the Fiesta Bowl twice and had like Hushmanzada and Ocho Cinco and was like whipping Colorado's ass 1 year maybe, and I know he whipped Notre Dame's ass, and then I think were they the ones that beat the shit out of Colorado too, when they were like 7-4 and shouldn't have gone to a major bowl, but the Fiesta wanted them, and then that's when Notre Dame was just taking it in the teeth in bowl games for like a couple decades, because they always first they was like, we refuse to go into anything but a New Year's Day bowl, so they'd put them in a New Year's Day bowl against where they really didn't belong and just have their ass handed to them by a top 10 team. So I don't know. Yep. I see James Tanner's Cup. You bet. Used to meet friends at Tanner's a lot, and so naturally I've got that cupboard filled with about probably 30 or 40 of those bad boys. There's still one. I finally, when I got let go at work, I finally ended up like getting ready to throw it in the box of my stuff, and I'm like, oh hell, this thing, the logo's rubbed off. I've been washing this thing at work for so many years, so splash. And then when Northwestern made the Pinstripe Bowl, the open air press box was plenty warm. Northwestern sent their reserves to warm guys up, not to butt. God damn it. Sacco, for a minute there, you had me going. I thought, oh, okay, maybe they got some heaters up there or something. And frankly, I don't care. I don't think it's supposed to be like 3 below or anything. It just bundle up. We'll be out of the wind. It'll be fine. I tell you what, I'd much prefer 25 degrees in an open air press box to 103 degrees in an open air press box. If that's my choices. Yeah. Let's see. Looking forward to next year. What is the minimum standard of success? I'm going to say it probably has to be 8 to 9. If honestly, and I, not to overshoot it, over jump like we do every year, because here we were like hoping for 6, but then everybody would look at that schedule. I don't see anything less than 9 wins on this schedule. It's like, yeah, because you're constantly chalking up victories next to teams that we haven't beaten or have like a 300 winning percentage of. What, Northwestern will beat them, even though we're 50-50 with them constantly. And then, Iowa will get them, and Iowa had beaten us 8 in a row. Wisconsin's not looking that strong, and 10 in a row. And yeah, but I'm just thinking with a functioning offense, which we really haven't had for Matt Rule's first 2 years. And I'm assuming that this will be these are the final days of Marcus Satterfield and any connection. I think that's going to go up, and I think that'll be the difference, because the tools are there. Now we just need to find somebody that knows how to design a route where a receiver doesn't go stand around and can actually get open. Not that I'm bitter. You know what I like? Going back to David Matney here. I like their what do they call it? Because I'll get the chicken lips with it's not the super sauce. That's what some other place calls it, the Blair sauce. That's really good. Real nice bite to it, good flavor, and I found I get that more with the chicken lips than with the wings. But that's the sauce I like. My son, you have 30 to 40 Tanner's Cups. I only have 4. Give me someone there. Thank you, hoarder. That could have been done so much differently. Maybe just, hey, Dad, can I have some of the Tanner's Cups? Yeah, I'm not. It's not like they're collectibles. I don't think you had to call me a hoarder and come at me strong. Yeah, just oh Jesus. Oh, they had some heaters up there, Andy. The Northwestern humor, may it never die. Oh, I think I finally stopped calling in our predictions, our weekly predictions articles. I did finally stop calling Penn State rape you, with the letter U. Yeah, but I mean, never forget, screw you, Penn State. That's the first time, and Aaron Rostovsky, who's come on a couple of times with me, he hates Creighton worse than like Texas or Colorado, Miami. He is not just anti-Jasker, he is anti-Creighton. And I think he's like my hate. He was giving us his hate levels and he on a scale of 100, and he had Texas at 98 and Creighton at 99. And I had no problem cheering for Creighton against Texas and Penn State. Creighton's just a little irritable, with the old Holy Father stuff, and Well, I go to church here, so I'm gonna cheer for this team. That's not necessarily my wheelhouse, but I don't. It's just one of those things. They're just not. I don't have strong feelings for them one way or another. The fans can get a little screechy, but whose can't? I don't know. We were very much in the Creighton corner against Penn State, and not out of fear of Penn State. It's just a horrible, weird place. Let's see. Can't remember next year's schedule. Isn't like half of the opponents didn't make a bowl this year. I thought it was a little before this season. I think it looked tougher than this year, but I think the way this year played out, that it might be a little easier. You raised me and you expect me to be nice. Well, yes, of course. Why shouldn't I do that, son of mine? Ooh, spicy Hawaiian chicken lips with the side of tots. Chicken lips are not what they sound like. Let's see, they're fine. They're delicious. One more, and then we're gonna move on along here. Let's see. Penn State, and I have a nickname for them that's not appropriate here, is forever tainted. No pun intended. Always root versus them. And David Matney agree. So with that, let's see. Let's talk about Arrowhead Stadium game. We're going to play our first game next year against Cincinnati. It was a Cincinnati home game. Hold on, let me get the Propel in here. I wrote the article on this the other day. Delicious Propel. So it was a Cincinnati home game, and it's a weird one where it's a home and home with Cincinnati, with us going there this year and Cincinnati coming here in 2032. I don't know why, but that was the way it was. And then, wanting to take advantage of Nebraska's traveling fans to make a lot of money, they decided to move the game to Lucas Oil Field in Indianapolis. It's a state over, so it's a little closer than Cincinnati. Because my first thought was, why don't you just move it into, what's that, Park something station, or something pay station, or stadium. I don't know why. They've played games there before, unless I think the reason was move it a little closer to Nebraska so more of their fans travel. And so their stadium at Cincinnati holds 40,000. The stadium, or Lucas Oil, holds 63,000. And that was my first thought going into Lucas Oil the first time I went there for the Big Ten Media Days, because it's just on the football field. As I'm looking up and I'm like, this stadium looks kind of tiny next to Memorial Stadium. Yeah, it just holds 63,000, which would still be 23,000 more if they could fill it up. And then apparently, since it's before the NFL season starts, they came up with the idea for Arrowhead, and that's when you realize this is just a big cash grab. Arrowhead holds more, like 76,500 around there. It's a lot closer to Omaha and Lincoln. I think that's maybe a 2.5-3 hour drive to the stadium, depending on where you are in that area. So yeah, that's a Thursday night game. And I had Husker Mike of coordination says Thursday night, I don't think they're selling it out. Husker Mike, I think you are wrong. This is the first game of the year. Now we've just gone to a bowl game and had another amazing off season, because we win every off season. We do, we just do. You guys are taking that for hopefully how it's intended, right? And so you're just getting everybody geeked up. This is a New Year's Day bowl year. With the Holgerson's had a spring and a fall to get his offense in there, rocking and rolling with the Armor Raiola, Ja'Cory Barney, Emmett Johnson. Now the lead man, and he will run too. We talked about Dana when they hired him, that once he got out of Texas Tech, his offenses usually ran for like 140 to 170 yards a game. And Matt Rule had said when he was at West Virginia and Rule was coaching Baylor, that West Virginia, those West Virginia teams are some of the most physical ones he played. So I think Dana's going to be everything you want. We've already found out he's not afraid to speak his mind. So anyway, I think we are. I think some people are going to make like 3-4 day weekends in Kansas City out of it in August and do the nightlife and all that. And it's going to be a Thursday night party, and I absolutely think we'll sell it out. We'll find out if I'm right or not. I am wrong occasionally on days where the sun is up, and even the ones where it's hidden behind clouds. So I'm wrong a ton, but I'm calling this one now. We're selling that damn thing out. Let's see what else we got here. I'm saying a lot anymore. I'll try not to go So there it is. Though it's a big money grab. And as a Cincinnati fan, I was joking that we'll have it full and maybe 3,000 Cincinnati fans will be there. But somebody told me their fans actually travel pretty well, so I'm not sure what that means. Kansas City's about 600 miles. I think it's about a 9-hour drive, they said, or you've got to get on a plane to go watch your home game. So not only are they shoveling in what they hope is the equivalent of 36,000 more paid admissions in there, which I imagine will more than cover the rental of the of the stadium, but they're putting their fans out in such a huge way. So they're like, we're going to make all this money. And by the way, if you guys want to come watch the first Cincinnati home game, you're going to spend a lot of money, and you're going to spend on some flights and some hotels or some gas or whatever. So we will see. Fred Sacco says Airhead Stadium will be sold out for our game, and Nebraska will add it to our sellout streak. Except no, it's a Cincinnati home game. Sorry, but it's a good idea. Nebraska Rascals going to KC. David Matney, do a video on Airhead Stadium like you're trying to sell it. That'd be epic. James Mormon, it will sell out. Not worried about that. There are several Husker fans in KC, aren't there? Let's see. Nebraska Rascal, hope to see you there. I may try and go too. Absolutely. I will be trying to get my press stuff for that game. I'd love to. If I'm going to do Yankee Stadium, that's going to be fun. I'd love to be able to say I did a game from up top in Arrowhead too. So hopefully that happens. I hear halftime of NU versus Cincy will be 5 Heart Theater led by the one David Matney. Oh God, that's awesome, guys. But anyway, there we are. Okay, one thing, and now this is what will carry us out. So long as we want to talk about this, we can. I wouldn't mind getting out of here in an hour and a half tonight. It's we don't have to go 2 hours every time. But guys, when we go 2 hours, you guys are coming up with a lot of good stuff in the comments. That is no bullshit. It's fun stuff. It's a little bit less of a crowd watch tonight. We had pretty big. Our two biggest crowds viewing this have been the last 2 weeks. So good. Hopefully we'll get some of these people back. But I have a feeling now people might be settling down until the bowl game comes in. Here's what I want to check real quick. Let me just do this while we're on the air, because I wanted to figure out what day. Yeah, we're probably not gonna be doing a Tuesday night show on Christmas Eve. I might pop on and do a fun one. Just so you know, Christmas Eve is one of those days where I spend that day enjoying myself at my favorite tavern. And they generally close they usually close at 6. I think they're closing at 5 this year. Just, get everybody home for dinner. And then, how to put this? I go to my happy place in a liquid way. And then I come home, wrap the presents, and then watch Unrated Bad Santa and The Ref, if I can get both of them in before I pass out in front of about half the wrap presents, which is also in play. It might be oh God, no, Fred. It's not a bit dirty. It's Tiger Tom's. Come on, man. And let's see. But anyway, maybe it wouldn't be the worst thing in the world. Just go on a date for 10 or 15 minutes, wish everybody Merry Christmas, and then you can see what Andy's red eyes are really all about. But I might think about that. I'll leave that open, and then we'll see it. We'll see if anybody shows up, and I'll probably try to wrap presents while I'm talking and cuss, and who knows. Let's put it this way: I know it'd be the Tuesday before the bowl game, and it should happen, but yeah, it's probably not going to happen on Christmas Eve. We'll figure something out. All right, let's quite a peek into Andy's soul tonight on a very special Husker Happy Hour. Good evening, fuckers. Just wild drunken laughs. All right. So what I did was I took pics of our depth charts for the Iowa game, and what has changed about those depth charts since our Iowa game. And it's not as bad as you think. I can tell. Oh, by the way, there's no more dogs. I finished my dog sitting stint, so no more Coco running around wreaking havoc off camera and a little bit on camera. But had a great time with her. What a wonderful little dog. I took a few pictures of us or of her when we went hiking the next couple of days, and just a fun little dog. But anyway, here is what your offensive depth chart looks like with Nate Borkircher, Danny Kalen. Oh, let me get rid of that message so you can see the whole thing. Hold on. Oh, not you. Boom and boom. Okay. Gabe Irvin, Danny Kalen, Dante Dowdell, and Nate Borkircher. Funny thing, even though his name's not spelled the same way, Buddy and I were sitting there for probably half an hour talking about Rico Dowdell playing for the Cowboys. And the lovely Courtney who bartends in Tigers, and she's in our fantasy football league. She knows her football. I can't remember which one of us turned around and like, that's Dowdell, isn't it? And she's like, yeah, it's Dowdell, not Dowdell. But this one is Dowdell. I just like had an idea. Here's what are we going to do with them on the depth chart? Well, you've got Luke Lindenmeyer, who for whatever weird reason was number 2 ahead of Borkircher. I think one of the other Satterfield problems was he just didn't know who the fuck to play where sometimes. He had Lindenmeyer in front of Borkircher until Dana got there. And he had, Dowdell and even Ramirez sometimes in front of Emmett. I think they were all in front of, or not Dowdell. Who's the other? Emmett started off 4th string last year. Just no excuse for that. But anyway, so let's start with quarterback. Kalen was number 3. Jalen Gramsted's been the clear number 4 since, I think since spring. So he'll just slide into that 3 spot. I don't think you're going to see any of the guys behind that. You probably won't see Gramsted, to be honest. But I have a feeling that you'll see some fun stuff with Harburg, since this probably is his last game playing quarterback, barring emergency situations next year. At tight end, what I was thinking is, like, obviously Lindenmeyer goes back to the number 2 spot, but you've got freshmen Ian Flint and Eric Ingerson, who are both highly ranked tight ends, and I don't know, maybe you see them get a snap or two. Wouldn't be if they're progressing nicely and just had 3 people in front of them. Is this the time? Is this the game where you get them? And and Carter Nelson, of course. I should have said that right out of the gate. Is Carter Nelson probably moves right into the number 3, if not an or position with Lindenmeyer. But they've had him just kind of in slot though. Oh yeah, duh. There, and I just saw that as I was looking. He's been doing more of the slot than the tight end thing. So I don't know, but maybe they move him into some of the tight end stuff. But we're not losing. The biggest thing we're losing on offense is Dowdell, and you still got Ramir Johnson behind him. Now, running back, I'm wondering, do we see Quentin? I think Quentin Ives will be the next guy up. He seemed to be right on the edge of that. He was so skinny when he got here. I think they just wanted him beefed up a little more. And then I wonder if I see McKay Nelson, who they were really impressed with him when he got here. And I believe he's a red shirt. He might be a true freshman this year, to be honest. But anyway, I think we're still fine on offense. Now, if we go to the defensive side of the ball, it's still not as devastating as you think. The only number 1, no, we're losing 2 number 1s. I take that back. We're losing Jamari Butler and Makai Bayar, however you say it. Those hurt. There's no getting around that. But for some of the names, it was, these names sound big, but they haven't been as big. You have Kai Willeen. He was formerly like backing up Ty Robinson on the depth chart. Well, Ty's going to play just about the whole damn game. And look who's behind Ty, Keona Davis, as a true freshman. who comes in and gets on the 3 deep, and then he left in the portal and came back. Have a feeling, all of a sudden it looks like next year he's now got the the line on that starting position. You still got Hutmacher and Judy at nose guard. Vincent Jackson wasn't that big a factor. And then you've got Cam Lenhart, who can step in and play for Butler. He's looked good whenever he's gotten in there. James Williams was more or less the sack specialist. He just came in on passing downs only. And then I was looking for he's not on the depth chart for some reason, but Riley Van Poppel had been playing a lot, so you'll see Riley Van Poppel in there. He maybe will help Leonard. And then I'm wondering, will we see Sua Lefotu? I thought we were very high on him, and hey, here's another chance to get this guy and see what he might look like flying around out there. Javen Wright, very good player. I believe he had the quad issues this year, and now he's been back. He had to miss a chunk of the season working that out, and he's back. And last year he was one of our leading tacklers. So isn't that nice? You can just stick him right back in at linebacker. Stephon Thompson was playing more near the end of the year, but I think what this means is you see more Vincent Shavers, more Willis McGahee, and there's and you have Prince Will, who was playing the jack position, and they've got Prince Will as the backup, but it sure seemed he was on the field a lot less this year, and I would think McGahee was maybe one of those reasons, him and Shavers possibly. So yeah, Prince Will's playing time had gone down is the crazy thing. But anyway, so you got you could have also, I'd say I would love to see Dylan Rogers get in there. Vince Genatone, who transferred from Montana and played a lot of special teams, and supposedly he's one of those guys whose athletic freakishness is just off the charts. Strong as bull, and and run. Has sprinter speed. In the 100 and the 200. Love to see him get out there and fly around a little, and then maybe Maverick Noonan. I'd forgotten. He got hurt in spring ball the previous year. Well, he can't. And I guess he was angling for some playing time as a freshman. So I don't know if it's just been slow coming back from the injury. He's gotten in a few games this year, like 3 or 4 games, and I just wonder, is it coming back a little slow, or are we just determined to redshirt him no matter what? Well, he played in 3 games, and the bowl games don't count against your 4 games anyway. I'd like to see if Maverick Noonan's still moving the way he did, and then you have Kobe Bretz, who he was getting out there some, and I was surprised because he was one of the players that somebody mentioned as one of the guys out there flying around in practice and kind of getting notice, and then all of a sudden he was in the transfer portal. Didn't really understand that. Guys you might see get in there at safety, because you still got the Bufords and Deshaun Singleton back there at safety. Hartzog's at full-time cornerback with Tommy Hill gone. But I was thinking maybe you see guys like Jaden Doss, Ramir Stewart, or Donovan Jones of Omaha North, another one who was singled out for looking really good in the practices this week. So that's what's going on with the depth charts and who I think might get some playing time. And one thing I'm going to do real quick, because I skipped out a little early. I want to talk. We talked about guys who entered the portal. Here's guys who entered and committed. Princewell Uman Milan, he's going to Ole Miss. Kalen to Virginia. Gabayar is going to Missouri. Thompson, to zero surprise, going to Florida State. Jamari Butler, LSU. And then I think they said that James Williams did finally announce that he was going to Florida State. That was the least big surprise of any of them, I think, because he was the one that I think Tony White was very especially a mentor to at a time when the kid needed one the most. So good for them. And the thing I'm getting at here though is, like, here you go. We'd have guys transfer before, but it didn't really seem like they were going to a better team. We have some guys going to better teams, at least as of this year. You got like Missouri, Ole Miss, LSU. These guys are, even counting. I don't know if I count Florida State as better than us, but yeah, those 3. And it's a good thing is, like, here's a couple of them that didn't start, and they're going to better schools. So that means we must have some talent in front of them, or honest to God talent pushing them out of the way. when we're letting them go and keeping these guys. I remember that just because they're from Florida, there was a lot of worry about McGahee and Shavers. Maybe, hey, I'd like my coach too, and I get to be closer to home, if I toddle on down to Florida State with them. But didn't turn out that way, did it? Then they showed it at that Kansas City Chiefs game that you had Raiola there with Dawson Merritt, the incoming edge rusher that we got to flip from Alabama, and then you had Ja'Cory Barney, the Florida contingent down there, Ja'Cory Barney, Shavers, and McGahee all hanging out together. And I'm like, yeah, I feel better now, just because simply that's not the move you make if you're getting ready to transfer. So anyway, let's get into the comments here and see what you guys think of all that. The offense depth chart. We don't see true fullbacks. Sat was lying all along. Well, they do have fullbacks on the. I think the only time you're really going to see them was on like the third and short, fourth and short, third and goal. Inside the two, that sort of thing. Well, hell, and then they had Ty in there as like a second fullback, and Ty doing that fridge lead blocking stuff. There's no. That's just because even Sat, definitely not now with Holgerson. You're not going to see a fullback. Maybe they'll still run one, but I got to be honest, I didn't believe for a second when Rule was talking about we're going to run with fullbacks. I was like, you're going to run goal line fourth and inches shit with fullbacks. You're not going to be out there in the power eye. Come on, Coach Rule. Let's see. Girth Brooks, welcome. Nice shot of the armpit. Says, I think we are kind of screwed next year. I don't know. We're looking at bringing in, I want to say 15 transfers sounds like a believable number. I think it's going to be fine. When I'm looking at some of the guys that seem like they're focusing on us, they very much already, like anyone else. Yeah, no one tampers, but had a plan, know who they're after, know who's interested. And we'll see how it goes. Tell you what, I miss when you get Williams and Winery in there. I don't miss Jamari Butler that much anymore. Oh man, I'm really looking forward to him. So yep, even friend. Girth, it'll be fine. And then Noonan. Yeah, HH now tight end. Rule said Gramstead taking snaps to be the backup QB in the bowl game. Oh, interesting that they've already done that. I'm still not going to be surprised to see Heinrich out there taking a few snaps in the game with something weird going on, little wildcat, little jump pass. All I know is I wouldn't look for a whole lot of quarterback sneak on those, unless they're on the tube or whatever. But yeah, good for you, Heinrich, and good for you and Harper Murray, the cutest on campus couple now. Well, they've been dating since last year, but. Yeah, Harper's starting to shower with the love on TikTok and things like that. So good for you, Heinrich. Also, I don't know. It's like maybe outside of, dating someone on the basketball team, you're just part of a lack of options for a 6'2" gal that may not want to date under that. And so good time to be 6'5", my man. Are we, it hasn't been officially decided. I will only say that because a couple things happened, I believe Sat, maybe he hasn't been told, but Sat will not be there after the bowl game. I think he was being a really good guy to stick around, keep coaching the tight ends, help out with the translating his offense for Holgerson, because apparently Holgerson said that was a huge help for him. But I don't think he's going to be around, and I don't think he would be when. That would be quite the drop to actually stick around and be a tight ends coach after having been an offensive coordinator for the last how many years. I don't think he'll be around. He's guaranteed. Yeah, everybody gets their payouts, but he can still. I mean, they can still fire him and then pay him out. But yeah, he doesn't have to stay. And I think and I don't think they want him there anymore, to be honest. Let's just leave it at that. Yeah, Jimmy Johnson said in this new era of college football, your coaches have to be great teachers and get guys up to speed due to all the transferring. Yeah, and why not? And they ought to be used to it because they're the ones who the coaches used to be the only ones transferring all the time and had to be able to get a new entire group up to speed. So, but yeah, you just got to be more now than ever, you got to be a teacher, since these kids finally have the rights that they should have had for a while, and now you've got to, you can still push them. I can't think, every kid, I think, except for the real daisies, I mean, wants to be pushed to be their best. They just don't want to be treated like shit. This is sports. This isn't a boot camp. You can push a kid to go to that next level, but you don't have to. You can do it without being an asshole, I guess is the way I'm putting it. Let's put it this way. That's what the great coaches will do, is run the place with, I'd say, run the place with a firm hand and a huge heart. On the one side, you got, I think, guys that probably got out of the Army and just understood scream, kick, bitch, cuss. But then on the other side, you had the Mike Rileys of the world who just didn't want to upset anybody. And as one Nebraska player said about him, anonymously said, well, everybody liked him, but not everybody respected him. And that's what happens when you just try to be nice all the time. Brasco Rascal, maybe they'll have a Satfield just stand in the corner holding a bucket of sand. maybe Rule needs to take away Satterfield's red swing line stapler. No, God, no, I'm just picturing what's his name sitting there. No, burn my stapler, burn this building to the ground. Firm hand, huge heart. The Brett Bielema story. Yeah, firm hand, heart on the verge of exploding. That's not a huge heart. That's a overworked heart. All right. Hey, here's what I'm going to do. I forgot the last couple of weeks just because we've been rolling so well, and I just forgot. And we were hitting that 2-hour mark, but we had left out doing a little reading of one of the 40 things that every drunk should do before he dies. For that, great. Another anyway, I'm going to do 2 this week, and I'm just going to start from the bottom because, quite frankly, outside of number 1, open and close the bar, I wasn't writing these numbers down as we were throwing them out there. So you keep going in the comments while we do this. So I'm just going to grab the numbers 2 and 3. And I don't think we've done either of these. So here we go from Modern Drunkard Magazine's list of the 40 things every good drunk should do before he or she dies. Number 2, go on. Let's see. Let me get the chat off. Hold on. Okay. Number 2, go on a bender. Okay. And I don't mean a weekend binge. I'm talking a full bore hooch bent screw work Houlihan. Dangerous, yes, but so is getting out of bed in the morning. True benders have gone the way of the snap brim fedora, which makes them all the greater currency in the world of drunks today. It won't be easy. You must start drinking the moment you wake up and carry on until you go under, then start over again. In your grandfather's day, you had to drink 2 weeks straight before you could officially declare yourself on a proper jag. But that's when a mug of beer cost a nickel too. These days, 4 straight days and nights will give you all the bragging rights you need. So think about the bender there. And number 3, a little shorter. This one, let's see, in the bender, I haven't been on one like that in a while, but I was working, and when I took a week or 2 off, I didn't want to spend one of them just doing it. I think the closest I came to one was, it was right after I'd started the job I just finished. So probably 20 years ago. And five of us couples went to Vegas together. And that really was a go on a bender thing where you just got up, started pouring that drink, went down, and we weren't running around, puking up and down the strip. But I would say the majority of us, we had this one couple that was friends of one of the other couples that the rest of us didn't know, and they didn't drink, and we were really questioning how they came to be there at all. And it was uncomfortable at times for the drunks. And then one of them tried to sass one of our buddies that he thought was drunk enough he could have his way with him verbally, and just ends up getting absolutely verbally shit mixed by this hammered at dinner guy who I think did this, and then about 30 minutes later was all but half passed out at the table. And so we were like, why are we even there? But that was, I think, 4 days, 3 nights. And the only, I think, sober time was waking up the final morning where we had to go catch a flight, and Buddy and I got up and hit this monster breakfast, like $10 breakfast buffet they had at Bally's, where we were staying, with just everything you could imagine, from steaks and salmon and bagels and eggs hollandaise and biscuits and gravy, chicken, name it, just name it. And yeah, we kind of needed that. We needed a bit of a bodily cleanse of not boozing, at least for the flight home. It might not make it worse than it was. Now, here's something else that happened on that Vegas trip. Number 3, drink a fifth of hard liquor by yourself in one day. For some of us, this is a typical evening. The rest will have to try harder. Not a typical evening for me. Unplug the phone, don't answer the door, and get down with your bad self. Stock up on ice, gather mixers if you need them, crack the seal, and inch by inch, take that baby proud bottle down. Take your own sweet time. Near the bottom, you will discover a rich inner landscape you thought a barren desert. Explore it. So there you go. And yeah, any thoughts? I think I see some popping up here of the stories of the benders or the day with that fifth. And oddly enough, it was mine was Captain Morgan. Obviously, I'm a rum guy. This was before I discovered the wonderful existence of Sailor Jerry, and it's 92 proof versus the Captain's 70. 70 is also Jack Daniels, so I don't want to hear anything about the Captain being too weak. It's right there with some of the big boys. But anyway, yeah, that was one day where I just got up and I think I was drinking. That's when somebody told me to try mixing it with Dr. Pepper instead of Coke, and that was before I had to go to the diet stuff and keep the sugar at bay. And I didn't even realize I did it until it was just later that afternoon. We rented a cabana out by the giant pool behind Bally's just to hang out in the shade. And we were watching football and running inside to bet and playing cribbage and shit like that. And sometime at like 4 p.m, I realized, hey, this damn thing's about done. So just filled with a nice stiff one up to finish off with, and got her done, and didn't realize lately it would be an accomplishment worth sharing. So let's see what we've got here. Yeah, Fred talking about the benders. Oh, I've done several of those. I had no doubt. A couple lasted a week or more. I grew up eventually. Yeah, it's like, it's not. I'm happy to say I checked it off the list. It's not anything I'm looking at anymore. I do like to try and accomplish things during the day. Said one of my benders was like Sheen at the start of Apocalypse Now. I used to be a delight. Yeah, that was the one when we were like, hey, I don't know what, we saw that in high school, Apocalypse Now. We're like, I don't know what the fuck is going on here, but it's awesome. And they weren't even on the boat yet. Oh man, it's not a bender if you can remember it. No, but it's a bender if you can remember when it kind of started and now it's over, type of thing. Some of the best benders, people tell you what you did. It's like walk into that bar. Hey, did I have a good time last night? Or my favorite T-shirt, which I've actually a couple times had to use in real life. If you've got a problem with drunk me, you take that up with drunk me. This is sober me, and I have no idea what went on. See, yeah, James Boardman. Is it really binge drinking if you do it every day? I think at that point it's just a lifestyle, man. Let's see. Drank a whole bottle of liquor by yourself. That's a typical Tuesday in Wisconsin or at SIU during the 80s, 90s. But right, that's what they said. For some of us, doing that is just another day in the life. And but a bottle of the hard stuff is not a day in the life. I've probably done the equivalent of it in a bar. I'm talking about just sitting there with your bottle and watching it. Like you said, watching it drop inch by inch down the side. See, Fred 3 slammed a bottle of tequila after calling everyone a bunch of pussies. Reportedly 2 minutes later, I vomited it off the balcony of an apartment. Yeah, that's not the bottle all at once. I saw a kid do the bottle all at once. And it was one of the, God, what was it? It was one of those reddish ones, cheap ones. Was it Mad Dog? It might have been a bottle of Mad Dog. But he polished that thing off, and not a little one, polished it off. And then we realized we lost sight of him. Okay, where did he go? And we're going up the hallway around to the bathroom of the house we were living in. And it looked like there'd been a mass murder, because he was stopping to spray the walls with this shit. So it just looks like the murder had taken place. And then you saw it like really flying you go into the bathroom. Here's like the two showers, then it's in the sinks. It's on the walls, and you turn around and there he is, just sleeping like a baby with his head on the toilet lid, and inside the toilet is nary a drop. That like it ended. He emptied himself before he got into the bathroom. And oh Jesus! And this guy was like 6'6" and had a big frizzy head of hair. I mean, he must have just looked like a freaking Halloween movie monster going down the hallway, spewing blood everywhere. Or in this case, like the Mad Dog 2020. Yay! Yeah, here we go. I've been on an old smoky salted caramel kick lately. Joining the ranks of the peanut butter shot drinkers. Let's see. Now I eat Taco Bell after 7 p.m. if I feel like I need to go to the hospital. Hey, Taco Bell settles your tummy. Kenny, I stopped drinking after I told my best friend that I was in love with her, blacked out, of course, tried to kiss her. You know what? If you're obviously obviously you've just been holding back on the best friend anyway. Alcohol did you the favor of getting out there what she deserved to know all along, and then make up her own mind, because before then you're probably you were probably just trying to find that right time to tell her you're in love with her. And guess what? Alcohol said, brother, I got this from here. This is the right time, and I'm stepping in, swinging for the fences. RS checking back in from the Philippines. Good to hear from you, RS, at the International Huskers Happy Hour. I love it. Is it Fred? All these are Fred stories. A few all-nighters I walked home from. I imagine the Eagles in the city as I walked down the middle of the street heading home. Actually, I don't know if any of you read my 24-hour rule column, which I do my best to get out weekly during football season. But a couple of years ago for that column, I told the story of our jaunt down to Norman, Oklahoma to watch Nebraska and Oklahoma. And that was the year we got beat 27-7. Bosworth was a sophomore. The Oklahoma defense blew up because they were going to shut Nebraska out for the first time in God knows how many years. And I think it was Chris Spethman basically intercepted a pitch near the end of the game and then ran it 77 yards for Nebraska's only score. And there was Bosworth like kicking benches over with the rest of the team, throwing their helmets because they wanted that shutout so bad. Let's see. James Boardman. Warriors come out to play, yay! David Patrick Kelly, but great underappreciated that guy as what was their gang's name? But he was their little obnoxious leader. He shot Cyrus, man. He shot Cyrus. And then he also played Luther in 48 Hours. There's like Nick Nolte just beat the shit out of him, and Eddie Murphy's like, Luther, you better tell this boy something. He's going to town with that car door. Yeah, Luther just getting smacked around the whole movie. Yeah, wonderful. He was a big Walter Hill staple. If you ever saw a Walter Hill movie, you were going to see like James Remar and David Patrick Kelly in there. And let's see. After the more of the tequila with Fred. After the tequila, someone said, "That's Don Julio," and I said, I don't care who it was. Boardman gets it. +10 pit snipe Husker points. Yeah, pit snipe. Where are you? No one to hand out the points. Kenny, yeah, that is rough, but still, don't be a quitter. I was gonna say, it depends if all you did was like tell her you love her and try to kiss her. Everybody's got their own reasons, and maybe there's a little more to the story. That doesn't sound like I got to never do this again and then sticking with it. There's more to the story. Or you married the girl and swore to her that one of the conditions of that marriage was no more drinking, son. But yeah, this isn't a quitters program here. Fred, mostly a health thing, bad heart, diabetes, might have a beer again someday. Now, I think we can all agree. we don't want you to literally drink yourself into the grave. We want to. I like the kind of heavy drinking that makes that trip to the grave more enjoyable. I think it was Frank Kelly Rich that said, if basically life is just one line from birth to the grave, and we want to put as many kinks in that son of a bitch as possible. And what does that better than alcohol? Because what's the line? No great story ever started, but I thought the better of it, and then I went home. Yeah, I should write the summary of my friend's trip to the '99 Big 12 title game in San Antonio. That was quite a day. Well, I tell you what, if you decide to write it, I'm pretty sure my email is in my on our main page where you can look up the staff writers and all that. If you click on that, I think my email's in there and the information on the site. So if you ever get the urge, do it. And if I find it humorous enough, I will read it on the air here. Let's see. Oh, Kenny, hey, now here we are, I think, getting closer to the story beyond health. Fred Sacco, let me tell you all about how I drove down the sidewalk of Wrigley Field at 3 a.m. in Chicago. Now, if that turns into a chase and some time behind an evening behind bars, now maybe that's the reason you wake up the next day and go, well, at the very least, maybe I got to cut back a little, or be locked up before 3 a.m. My line has more kinks than Lola. L.A. Lola, la 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 Lola, ba 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 bum ba bum bum. Yeah, if you don't clean it up, I will. So, yeah. If we're talking about insertions and things like that, then yeah, that'll be cleaned up or left out. And the thing is, if it just involves like nudity and strip bars, I can describe the nudity. I'm not gonna show pictures, but you use your best judgment, and then I'll go ahead and clean up the shit that you wouldn't think to clean up anyway. All right. Oh, here we go. Wasn't my choice. Asked my friend if he was okay to drive. He said yes. Drove right through the T intersection. I had him get out and drove. Oh, Kitty story. So yeah, is Yakety Sax the one where the old Benny Hill intro music? I can't do it. Okay. Let's see. Since I left it out the last couple of weeks, I'm going to throw in. They used to have a section on there called Wino Wisdom, and where you just send in your thoughts or your story or things you heard winos say. And I just thought a couple of these were funny, and usually the descriptions are kind of funny too. Like, here's the quote: "This isn't going to turn into an all-night party, is it?" Said by someone's wife after someone said he was going to visit a friend recovering from brain surgery in a highly secure intensive care unit, and her thought was, "Is this an all-night party?" Let's see. Danny B strolling down the bright side of the road said, "There's a lot of nonsense talked about alcoholism. There really is. If it's a disease, it's the only one that comes with buffalo wings." Life's too short for suicide, said by an unknown drinker at an informal wake in a Colfax bar. And then from a savage-looking but surprisingly erudite day drinker at Brendan's pub, "Sober up suggests something positive and fun is happening. I think we should change the phrase to sober down." It's, let's see. Shepherd, when we're talking about benders, "Today has been a good couple of days," said by Shepherd D at the tail end of a monumental bender. And then Alex H, 29, to a sanctimonious mimosa drinking brunch companion, "Of course a Manhattan is a brunch drink. It has a fucking cherry in it." And then Andrea H via Twitter, "Ordering pizza while drunk is like throwing yourself a surprise party." I only laugh because I have on occasion ordered that DoorDash meal and then sat back, started watching the movie, and completely forgotten I ordered that DoorDash meal, and just been, yeah, it's like, it's like somebody just decided to surprise you with food when you're drunk and hungry. These things happen. Anyway, yeah, let's see. Let's keep going for these a little bit. We're still right on an hour and a half, so we'll do a couple more of these. Looks like we've had some watchers pile in here in the last like 30 minutes too. Well, welcome everybody. Say something in the comments. Kenny and Fred have taken it over, but they're taking it over in a fun way, so I'm not going to stop them either. Oh, good. Got my first year sobriety chip, said by Sean M, 53, after being asked, "What's the occasion while purchasing a case of sparkling wine at Trader Joe's?" Oh, and then Shelly needs to clean the carpet. It tastes terrible. After giving a surprise inspection, Eric offers janitorial advice at Shelly's Swan Club. Means Eric hit the floor. Kyle C, while hanging with the boys, "You don't need time to drink. You need time to breathe in between." It was it. Oh Jesus. I'm all for here's the quote. I'm all for getting drunk and fucking the waitress, but can we not call it being a being a gentleman? JF 26 at Cross-Eyed Seagull in response to a fellow bragging about what a gentleman he was. And then here it is. Yeah, Jim Jeffries. This is actually, I think on our Cobby account or Little Used Cobby account is the pinned tweet. This is a tweet too from comedian Jim Jeffries. If you don't drink, then all your stories suck and end with, and then I got home. Let's see. The only downside of drinking in a bar day in and day out is you have to put up with a lot of worthless drunks. Unnamed gentleman during a dispute with the cigarette machine at JR's Bar and Lounge. And Joan M31, everybody gets too drunk sometimes. And if they don't, I'll do it for them. Selflessly offering to pick up the slack at the Lancer Lounge. All right, two more, and then we're gonna call it a fine good night. A rather disheveled-looking gentleman explaining his carefree and bold hairstyle at the Lancer Lounge. Whiskey is my comb. Let's see, what could we? There should be a good one here. We could. What good way to take it away? Okay. You can get away with wearing just your underwear. You can get away with vomiting on yourself. You can even get away with screaming insane shit at me. But for the love of Christ, not all three at the same time. Said by the most easygoing bartender on planet Earth laying down the law at the Troubadour Lounge. Oh, you know what? That seems like a fine thing to end this night on. Let's check the comments before we go. Let's see. Fred Sacco, one of his stories that involved cursing in strip bars. Oh, this is the one I think you're going to tell us. Yeah, it involved cursing in strip bars, my friends and me. Hell, we couldn't get laid in a female, I assume you meant prison, with a fistful of pardons. Let's see. Same night we lost our friend Woody from the walk from the sidewalk to my buddy's house. Woody spent a cold Chicago night in some random person's car. He got lost from the street to the damn house. See, now I have, some might call it a curse. For me, it's a bit, I think, of just a nice ability to have, if a bit disgusting. I get throwing up, or I get to throwing up before I get to so drunk I don't know my way from the car to the house and stuff like that. I may have an occasional period I need help remembering, but there's never anything where I go out the next day and like the car's on the lawn instead of the driveway or that kind of stuff. I feel like when I'm getting to that level, I'm heading for a bathroom and then probably hanging out for a while. So, like I said, some people just can't stand to throw up. I don't like it, but if it keeps the really bad things from happening, if it's kind of an early warning system, I'll take what I can get. Let's see. Missed that part. Let's see. Quote from Lenny and Simpsons at Moe's. We all love you, Homer. You make our alcoholism seem a little less raging. That's a good one. Okay. Well, tell you what, that's it. I think, let me check my list. I think we checked everything off. And those of you who do come in for a watch, please don't be embarrassed about jumping in the comments. When I'm going through the stuff I want to cover, whatever's happened in the last week, then I want to hear from you. I'm going, hey, here's my opinion, but also, what do you guys think? If you think I'm wrong, Aaron will tell you. I don't mind being told. I'm going to come back and probably prove I'm right. Just kidding. But I don't mind a good argument. Had a real good one last night. My good friend Timmy Goodrow did. They probably, if they didn't know us well, they'd probably be over there at one point. Are these guys going to fight? And we're pretty much the same way. We get good and worked up, but it's just I don't know. I feel like at times it's just being a louder version of Ken Watanabe in The Last Samurai, when Tom Cruise is freaking out yelling, and he just goes, "This was a good conversation." And I love Ken Watanabe in that movie, baby. But anyway, yeah, that's come in and have an argument or whatever, or just come in and be Fred. But definitely, if you've never gone on, pop on the side. If you're on the YouTube live, the comments will be on the right. If they're not up, there's an X you should be able to hit that'll bring the comment column up. jump in there. You've seen, I like to, I put them up on the screen. And here's Fred. I usually pass out before I vomit. Even better. Yeah. Because it's just that stuff feels like some of these stories sound like this is the beyond vomiting story. This is where I'm usually asleep, or or just my body's going like, yeah, enough's enough, for God's sake. But anyway, yeah, thanks for sharing. I'm not a vomit guy, but anyway, yeah, please introduce yourselves. I love, just say hi from wherever. I also want to hear, just where everybody's from. I assume there's going to be a lot from Nebraska, but then I find out we're being watched as far away as Japan and the Philippines. It's like, and I love hearing that. Husker fans are taking over the world. We're just biding our time. So that's it for tonight. Great show. We'll figure out something, because I don't know, no one's going to want to sit around Tuesday night, and it is part of my tradition. That's when I will be enjoying myself. So maybe we'll have like a little 10-minute check-in. If we do that, I'll try to warn you. I might just go out there, rage, and nobody's watching, and who cares? But we'll figure something out. We'll do something before the bowl game. We should talk about Boston College a little. Maybe I'll just do a show the night I get up there, the night before the game, or something like that. But I'll try and give everybody plenty of warning. Like post it here and then repost it day of. I'm still spitballing at this point, and all we want to do is go. So anyways, guys, great show. Eddie, really enjoyed this. Fred, thank you. Thank every single one of you. Thank everybody who listens in. It's still staggering to me that people want to listen to what I have to say. But I can tell you full on that my friends at the bar probably appreciate you guys, that some of you guys watch, because then I do this. And that means that when I go there, I'm not just rattling off like this in front of them all night. And because there's enough people there that do that already, and one less only helps. So good night, everybody. Go Big Red as always. Let me make sure I do my exit right this time. And I think I have. So we'll see you guys soon. We'll do one more after the bowl game, and then that'll probably be it for football. We'll see. I mean, I can't, because the big signing day has already happened. I don't know that there's not one big portal signing day. Just try to follow along on the website. Stuff like that I'll write about. I'm going to try and be popping a few more, just shorter, since I've got a little bit of more time during the day. Just some short, like what's going on type stuff as we go along. And then the next thing it'll be softball in the late winter and spring, and then we'll jump in. We'll take a couple weeks off and then jump back into the All the Right Movies, sports movie show in the summer. And other than that, once again, thank everybody for watching. Love you guys. Have a great rest of the week and weekend. Remember, the playoff starts Friday night, I believe. So college football coming right back at us. Bowl games are coming. It's the fun season. Watch the bowl games, because that's when the coaches don't give a shit and will try anything. And will run all their funky plays and have these like 47 to 44 games. So enjoy all that. And if nothing else, we will see you before the Pinstripe Bowl. And good night, everybody. Thank you. Go Big Red.